of today's program. On the line with us is our old buddy Phil Ittner, the veteran war correspondent based out of Kyiv, Ukraine. Philip, PhilippIttner, over on YouTube. You will locate his video blog for you, which he updates regularly. It's really the primary place where Phil posts his information. It's worth checking out and subscribing to. On Twitter, it's Ittner Philip, his name backwards. Phil, welcome back to the program. There's a bunch of news about Ukraine. First off, big story that I caught this morning, in fact, I saw this at the top of Drudge, of all places, was that Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, has now come out and said that if the Russians break through, or if President Zelensky asks, that he's willing to send troops into Ukraine. What are your thoughts on that? How serious do you think that is? And would that be the beginning of a serious land war in Europe?
Well, I mean, Macron's statement is, and he has been saying things like this for about the better part of a month, where he's been kind of indicating that France might take a much more active role on the ground internally within Ukraine. When he says if Kiev was under threat, Kiev's not coming under threat.
Right.
Kiev, they are not going.
So he's hedging his bets.
Kiev again. A little bit. It's a little bit of bluster, I think. It's a little, well, I don't want to be dismissive of it. I don't want to say it's just bluster. Yeah. He is showing support for Ukraine. Is Kiev going to come under direct threat again from Russian forces? No, it is not. They do not have the capacity to make an assault on Kiev again.
The French people have a very vivid memory of what happened in the last ground war in Europe, and their country being occupied. Do you think that Macron is doing this more for domestic consumption than for to change the international equation?
I think it might be, but I also genuinely do think that there are European powers that are coming to the awareness that if Russia is successful in Ukraine, even if it isn't a matter of tanks rolling down the streets of Warsaw or, whatever it may be, or rolling into the Baltic states, it is still going to embolden Russia and Moscow and Vladimir Putin to be a far more aggressive and oppressive influence on Europe. And Macron has kind of taken the lead when it's come to, we cannot do what we did in the 20th century, which was to, give in to the threats of a guy who wants to annex territory by force of arms and, roll back the security status that has existed in Europe for, 80 years now, 70 years now. So the very real threat that Russia poses to Europe is, I think, being clarified. It's coming into clarity for a lot of people. Germany is still dragging its feet when it comes to aiding by giving missile systems, in particular there's a cruise missile that Ukrainians would love to get their hands on, the Taurus, which would allow them to attack behind Russian lines. The Germans remain a little bit reluctant, but the rest of Europe does definitely seem to be waking up to the fact that this is going to draw in the entire continent. And I would argue that if our closest allies in the world, and that is the European Union, come under direct threat, it's only a matter of time before it'll affect us as well. Yeah. So, Macron is taking this forward-looking view. I don't think Kiev is going to come under assault, but if Zelensky were to ask Macron, if he were to be on his back foot, they have never asked for foreign troops before, but, if say, Kharkiv, again, the second largest city, were to come under direct threat, maybe they would.